Okay guys, this is the unboxing of the replacement radio I bought for my 2018 Dodge Ram SLT because I was sick of that little tiny screen that it came with. So this one here has a much bigger screen on it. I'm not sure about sound quality or anything because I couldn't find any reviews on it. But I figured I'd take a chance. It was right around, well, after taxes, it was a little over $300, like $16 or something like that. So I figured I'd give it a whirl because there was ones in there that were a lot more money. So obviously it's a Chinese radio. Comes with, I guess, some installation instructions, which will be helpful. It's actually in that package. One of these packages got a reverse camera in there too. I believe you could use the same reverse camera because I watched the video tutorial on one guy tapping in with his stock reverse camera, but my stock reverse camera sucks. If anybody knows about the Dodges, and I have another video on it, they always have problems. This one in this truck has been replaced once already by the dealership, and it's already acting up again. It glitches, it freezes. Very poor quality. So I'm not gonna, well, obviously you won't be able to tell because the video will just take off, but I'm just unwrapping it today just to see what it kind of looked like, and tomorrow I'll try to go for the install on it. Not sure how long it should take. I was kind of hoping it would be like plug and play, but from one of the rear camera little video tutorials that they have, I've seen a lot of wires though. I don't think they have any stock wiring, honest, but it's really thin. You can see here there's no big amplifier or anything on it, so I'm kind of curious on what the sound difference is going to be like. Alright guys, so real quickly, it's the same night. I didn't start obviously installing this yet. I just wanted to separate all the items and then kind of see what I was working with here. So the screen and everything, as I've shown before, looks very good. The wiring and basically some of the components here, it can get confusing. The instructions that it comes with, and I know when you look at some of the reviews, they all say they're junk, which I already had that in mind that I was going to have to figure stuff out. So let's start with this. This, I want to say, it doesn't really say what it is, but by doing the math of what's what and what I think it is, this would be the backup beeper, which they call a small horn, which would probably make a noise when you hit reverse when you have this thing connected. I do not want that. Will I test it out just to see if it is? Maybe. Okay, here we have some kind of, appears to be an antenna adapter. I would only say the antenna because it looks like it would fit into the antenna port. So, and I didn't find anywhere else where that little connection would go yet, so I'm not sure if I even need that. This here is probably, I don't know, like a USB-A or something connection. So this might be able to be used for something. I don't know if I really need this because I do have other USB ports in the vehicle, so I don't think I really need that. Here we have a very old USB. I don't know which one this is, but I don't think any devices that I have at all at this point in time would use that connection. So I'm going to say this is definitely a no-go. I don't need that. This appears to be what they call a GPS. So it's got a little connector on there which would screw into one of these ports. I think it's this top one here. I'm not sure if I need this or not. I might just connect it up and leave it in there just because. I will have extra space, I'm assuming, and it gives you the adhesive thing on the back to connect that up. This is supposedly your Wi-Fi. This would connect up to this little port here. This, I believe, is the Wi-Fi one. So I'm definitely gonna stick that in there. And once again, it's got the adhesive on it, so you can just stick it wherever. I always thought all that stuff was internal, so into the units, but since it has it separately, I'm going to say it's not internally built into the unit. I'm guessing. Alright. This bumble mess, basically this looks like some kind of spot where you can put an SD card. When you open this up, it looks like an SD card port, but the design is horrible. I don't even know if I can get a micro SD even into this thing. This connector would plug into one of the connectors in the back of the stereo here. And the only thing I really need on this, because the subwoofer that I have, it's got a lot of subwoofer stuff on here, connectors, but this is the mic. And supposedly, from reading some of the other reviews that I've seen on this thing, I didn't see a video review, but it's just basically people posting reviews. The mic is not going to work in my vehicle that's working on the radio now. So I believe I'm going to have this all plugged in just for the mic feature. And then we get over to the mic. So here's a mic. They give you a little squishy soft piece to put over it. And it gives you the auxiliary plug-in that would plug into that unit there, but it's another wire that you would have to run, and basically in here you have an end. It's this thing here, this portion here, which is actually the microphone. So you'd have to stick this somewhere down, I don't know, in your dashboard somewhere. And my truck's loud, so I'm not sure how this is going to work yet, but I'll have to figure that one out when I'm installing it. The other thing is this camera here. I'm sure it gives really good quality. This little cheesy mount that they give you is very cheesy. So I'm probably going to get some self-tapping screws and basically screw this in when I find a certain location where I'm going to have this thing going. Hopefully it's going to be somewhere around the license plate. And what I like is it's small, so I'm going to have to just see what kind of view I get from it. Now the confusing thing is, it's not super confusing. I watched a video and you have to take two of these red wires down here. You got a red wire coming off this guy here, and then you get the two wires that you get to tap into your tail lights with. Well, actually the reverse lights, not the tail lights, the reverse light. So this red wire is actually going to get supposedly connected to this red wire, which, if you look at the length, because this is going to be on a truck, you probably, or I'm probably going to have to add some additional wire to this in order for this to reach my tail light and connect to this at the same time. It looks like the amount of wire here to run from the radio to the back of the truck looks like enough, but I definitely won't know until I actually do it. It does seem like they give you plenty of wire, so it'll just be the fact of making sure the wire is somewhere where it's not going to get snagged up. It's going to have to be on one of the frame rails or something, and use some like tie straps or something to keep it up there good, so it doesn't get, like, if you go off-roading or whatever, you just don't want the wire getting pulled out. So, but in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I've come to figure out by looking at what needed to get done. So I was trying to get some just pre-work done before I actually pull out the radio tomorrow and get going on working on this thing. A lot of the reviews were for the 32 bit or 32 gigabyte one. This is the 64 either gigabyte or bit version, which there was only like maybe one review on it, and I don't think the kid used the mic or the backup camera in it, so it kind of didn't do me any good to look at his review. Everybody else was with the other one. They said the 32-bit one was laggy when they were trying to use the Android CarPlay whatever feature, but this one here supposedly resolved the issue for that because it's got like an 8-core processor. It's better made, a little faster. So alright guys, real quickly, I'm going to try to do this way overdue, finish this tutorial on this aftermarket Chinese tablet style radio that I installed in the 2018 Dodge Ram SLT 4x4 3.6 liter. So every time I try to do this video, something happens and I get sidetracked, the phone messes up, somebody, you know, wants something else or calls me, so I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. So here you can see the setup, the size of it. It's about a 9.5 inch screen on this thing, way bigger than the stock screen that was on here. If you hit the reverse camera, you can see I now have a nice clear picture, big clear picture, and it actually shows the lines where the steering wheel's turning. So it shows all that, which I didn't have with the, well, actually, I think I might have had it with the other camera too, but the other camera was so tiny you couldn't really see anything. This radio sounds immaculate. I mean, it has so many different settings that you can play with to change the music around and stuff, the sound of the music. Once again, I'm not crazy about having to touch everything. I'm used to the dials, old school, but that's just me. So equalizer, you can switch that to your little knobbies, which makes it a little easier than this graph style situation you got going on here. Field, front, back, sides. Surround, you can mess around with different surround sounds to give you a different sound enhancement. This screen here is all your bass, highs, mids, lows. I definitely find myself fidgeting with this, excuse me, because when I listen to different music on different, like, either a lot of times I use like iHeartRadio or just use YouTube, and I'll listen to songs on YouTube versus the radio. So the radio sounds one way with this thing set up. YouTube adds a ton of bass to everything that you're playing. So if I play the same song on YouTube, the bass setting that I have now is going to basically pretty much be, you won't even really hear it. It'll just be way too much bass. So you got to constantly adjust. I haven't figured out settings that you can set per whatever channel you're listening to. I don't know if they have that or not. But yeah, if you play from iHeart to YouTube to a radio station, it sounds differently every time you switch back and forth between those guys. Bass enhancements here, I leave them off because this thing, with the settings it's got right now, I have a Rockville low profile speaker under the passenger side, and I mean, there is just so much bass, and a lot of this bass for some reason goes to your speakers and not directly to the subwoofer, so I'm not sure why it works that way. But you have a subwoofer thing on here. The only thing that works for the connection I have, and I'm running the RCA jacks to the subwoofer, the only thing that actually works is the amp on or the amp off. These don't do anything. I can't figure out it doesn't seem like it does anything with the sound quality for the amplifier using that. That's why I used the little knob that came with the Rockville amplifier. And then you have a sound filter where you can mess more around with your sounds, the power and stuff, the highs, the lows, whatever. And it's just crazy. I'm not used to that many ways to change a stereo around or listen to your music. So I just basically leave it on rock, and I mess around with these guys here. And that's basically how I control everything. So with that being said, this thing really pumps. I mean, this is a newer style truck. I changed all the speakers besides the two front tweeters, and I noticed that pretty much, I think I blew out those front tweeters already by listening to, I think I play it on usually, and it's deafening at 20. It goes up to like 30 something, I think, for the amount will go up. But I usually listen around 20, and on 20, everything is vibrating in here at 20. So fabulous setup. I'll show you basically the speakers as well later on in this video, so you'll get to see what speakers I use. They're Pioneers, I think, low profile speakers that I put in here. I tried to do some DS18s, but they were way too big. They didn't seem to make a slim profile one that would fit with these door covers and stuff. So, and I actually did buy them, tried to install them. I put some spacers on. It looked ridiculous. So, and the weird thing about it was, I think I needed even to have an amp with this thing. This thing being so loud as it was not really pushing anything through those DS18s. I had the Pro model ones. I think there was like $300 or something like that for the speakers. So yeah, it was, I didn't mind spending the money if they would have sounded good, but yeah, I didn't want to have to put an additional amp to run them, and it looked asinine anyways as they didn't fit. So all right, back to this radio. So everything like that, so good. Once again, I don't really particularly care for these little buttons on the side here. Not really buttons, but I guess they are like buttons, the little touch pad display buttons that you have there. These lights tend to go off in the morning, so when it's dark out in the morning, these lights won't be here, and I'll find myself fidgeting around for the volume or whatever like that. Once again, the volume is not capable. This truck wasn't equipped with the volume on the steering wheel, and even if it was, I don't think it would have worked with this radio. So, but other than that, everything sounds good. If you're looking for decent quality sounding stereo system, you're gonna need, if you put it in this like a stock vehicle like this Ram, you're gonna have to upgrade your speakers, because the speakers in here I found out were only 15 watts that come stock with it. The other radio, it played beautiful. I mean, you could crank it almost full volume and you can still, I mean, they still sounded like you can understand what was going on. Whereas this radio would distort them, you know, halfway. You wouldn't even be able to tell what was coming out of those speakers. So definitely have to upgrade your speakers if you want to get the full potential out of this radio. With that being said, that's kind of a little bit on the pros and cons with it. So far, so good. I like the big screen, obviously, and you have tons of stuff to play with on here. So it's just like a tablet. So you'll have many things you can use. But once again, unless you have some kind of hotspot or whatever connected up, you ain't going to be able to use any of this stuff, because most of the time you're not connected to the internet, you're offline. So you would actually have to either use your phone as a hotspot to make some of this stuff work. I don't know, I didn't really get that far with it because I don't usually play with YouTube or whatever. I just use the YouTube on my phone and then transfer the music, now knowing that I have that feature where I can actually use Bluetooth. Because for a while there, I was just using the car connect and I was getting really aggravated with this radio. I haven't had that trouble with the Bluetooth mechanism, so I'm very grateful for that I eventually found that actually works. But you can load different stuff in here. It comes with a small SD card where I just found a picture similar to my truck. This one's only the two-wheel drive version, but I just loaded that picture up on there from the internet, and so you can change a background display and stuff if you really want to and stuff. Just like a tablet or a computer, you can kind of do the same thing with the stereo. So yeah, definitely if you want to upgrade your stereo system and stuff, this wasn't bad for around 300 bucks. this is actually working out good. So I know there was a lot of these stereos that had a lot higher price tags on them, and I'm not sure you probably get a lot more maybe with those stereos, but for $300 and this, I mean, I can't complain. Besides, the backup camera was a total bitch to do. I thought there was a ton of wire that was going to give me plenty of wire to run to the back. I had to kind of make like a direct shot over to the back, and then I still ended up having to use some extra wire to use on tapping into a couple of things back there. So you're going to need some extra power wire or whatever to run either black or red, probably like a 16 gauge wire or something like that. You'll need a few extra of that just to complete the task. And then I still had to go to a car place because the backup camera was giving me such of a bitch, and I really didn't have anything to go by, that I took it to a car stereo install place, and then they finished the job, which ended up just being a couple of bad Walmart connectors that I was using. Wasn't actually making connection when I used the little splice mechanism on them. When you squeeze them with the pliers and they go down, they slice into the wires. Supposedly, he said I had a couple of bad connectors on there. And with that being said, the backup camera, I guess I had upside down, but since it wasn't working for me, I didn't know. So he spun the backup camera and mounted it differently so I could actually, you know, because I guess if you flip the camera upside down, it will show everything upside down. So that's how that works. But anyways, I'm happy with it. Hopefully, if you guys get this, it is a pain in the ass to install. Like I said, I haven't done this in a while. There's a ton of wires. I had to tap around a few times to try to figure out stuff. But it might be easier just to have a stereo place install it, because like me, I'm pretty handy, but something like a radio install that I haven't done in probably 20 years or so. The radio's a lot different nowadays, and yeah, you can run. I think I spent probably close to 3 hours before I ended up taking it eventually to the stereo place. I was like 3 hours into this thing, almost 3 hours I think, into doing everything, and I just couldn't get that backup camera working. So with that being said, good luck out there. I'm sure there's other options, but this is just showing you the option for this one right now. Sound quality, everything else, beautiful. Gives you crystal clear images and stuff like that. So hopefully, you know, if you're putting it in a Dodge Ram like this and stuff, you know what you're actually looking at. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. So all right guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully that helps. Any questions, leave them in the comments. See ya. Bye.